Welcome back to the Highway to Health. I'm Jason Dahl, and this is day 18 of the Health Charter Tour, just days away from our grand arrival in Ottawa. Yesterday, Sean, Teresa, and the world's greatest health van wrapped up another massive stretch of travel, overnighting in Collingwood, Ontario, after a long drive across the province. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, our second Red Highway event took place at Killarney Lake Rotary Centennial Lodge in Fredericton, New Brunswick. It was an intimate, cozy gathering with a fantastic turnout, proof that even small-town Canada is wide awake and ready to protect their natural health freedoms. In an update from the road, before we get to today's events, I want to share an update from Sean and Teresa, who've been living life on the road in what Teresa describes as a rolling condo, the health truck, towing the world's greatest health van across the Canadian Shield. Their first day out from Dryden was a 13-and-a-half-hour drive, the longest yet. It began beautifully with open skies, sunlight, and laughter, and ended as a test of sheer endurance and faith. Around hour 11, after a breathtaking sunset, darkness set in, and with it came reality of what driving across the Shield at night really means. Narrow, winding roads, heavy semis in both directions, and finally sheets of rain and high winds. Sean white-knuckled those last hours through the storm, steering the Health Charter truck safely through gusts that seemed determined to push them off course. Teresa said it felt symbolic, like the very forces opposing health freedom didn't want the charter reaching Ontario's stronghold. She compared the road to our healthcare system. In daylight, it looks smooth and orderly, but when darkness falls, when illness or crisis strikes, we see how fragile and treacherous it really is. The Health Charter, she said, is about lighting the road ahead, making health a safe, steady path, not a fight for survival in the dark. They finally arrived in Sault Ste. Marie, well past midnight, completely exhausted. Sean had a brief gallbladder scare, but after rest, both were back up early the next morning to finish the drive to Collingwood. A short 7-hour haul this time. The morning light revealed the raw beauty of the Shield, massive rock faces blasted open to create the highway. Teresa said it reminded her of the work the Health Charter Tour is doing, breaking through barriers, carving new paths, and educating as we go. When they reached Collingwood, there was one more surprise. Their Airbnb was suddenly canceled due to a sewer backup, but as always, persistence paid off and they found another cozy spot nearby, affectionately nicknamed Uncle Buck's Place, to rest and prepare for tonight's big event. Through fatigue, storms, and long miles, Sean and Teresa keep pressing forward with the petitions, and their determination mirrors exactly what this movement stands for: resilience, purpose, and the courage to finish the road, no matter how rough it gets. So much symbolism on this trip. What started as a crisis ended up being a wonderful place to collapse on a couch. This is it, the week where we find out who wins the friendly battle for the biggest Health Charter Tour stop of the year. Tonight we're live in Collingwood, Ontario at 6:30 p.m. EDT, and tomorrow it's Barrie's turn. These two communities are neck and neck in ticket sales, each rallying incredible local energy. Whichever one comes out on top, we're the real winners, because this tour is about connection, awareness, and a shared belief that Canadians deserve better access to natural health. The Collingwood event will be broadcast Thursday, October 23rd, so make sure you tune in for that one. We've got an amazing lineup today, stories of recovery, courage, and advocacy from voices across the country. Wayne Elliott shares his powerful story of natural heart health and how Hawthorne and Strauss products helped transform his recovery.
After football, Joe got up to 400 pounds, and he had so much wrong with him when he moved into my house that it's crazy. Had he not been such a tough guy, he is dead. He had a tumor on his kidney, sleep apnea, bad diabetes, blue and red legs, 3 or 4 black toes, enlarged heart, irregular heartbeat like I never saw in my life before, go from 0 to 200 like a pinball machine. It was just crazy. Blood pressure, high blood pressure, just about everything you could think of, in this damn sleep apnea. So anyway, and when he moved in here, he was on 13 drugs, 13 pharmaceuticals. When he moved out of here, he was 240 pounds on no pharmaceuticals and working full time. He was running our railroad yard, loading the rail cars and so forth, climbing up on the cars and everything. And it was amazing return to health.
In Health Canada, just so the viewers understand, they were totally always trying to shut him down because he wouldn't stop saying he could treat heart disease, which is, yeah. I came to understand it was true preparing for the trial. It's Wayne, that's how I came to understand this is real. Yeah. It's your own personal health journey, so I don't have to tell you. But so Health Canada, he's living in Kamloops, Jim Strauss. Yeah. And they've got to drive from Vancouver. So, they're not out there all the time, but they come out to harass him. And so once they're out there harassing him, they're in his, herb shop, Natural Way Herbs, remember? Yeah. And they're saying, well, like there's a door to the back, where he stores stuff. And I assume he did mixing back there and everything. And they said, you have to put a sign there saying employees only. Like, they're adamant about it. You got to put a sign there, employees only. So they come out months later and they want to go in the back and he won't let them in the back. He says, can't you read the sign above the door? Employees only. And he wouldn't let him in the back. And that was Jim Strauss. I mean, he understood.
Penny Hodgson dives into emotional healing and trauma recovery through self-awareness, faith, and natural approaches.
I found a naturopath who on her first examination said, wow, like this is, I don't know how you're going to make it through this surgery, but we'll try to get you ready, and sent me home with a bag full of various tinctures and medications to try to get my body built up again to withstand the trauma. Surgery is by definition physiological trauma. So I was able to get, obviously, to a point where I could get through the surgery.
Had you ever thought of seeking a naturopath before? Or did you know they existed, or what, like, did you know what that word meant?
No. No, I honestly didn't, because, I mean, what did I know about alternative health? Not much. Probably whatever you hear about it is usually ridiculed. You think of it as some woo-woo science. And because I was very allopathic minded, in other words, because I had grown up in an environment that looked at everything from one perspective, that was the perspective I looked at everything from. But
and what perspective would that have been?
Well, surgical and pharmaceutical approach to healing. For every problem, there's either a drug or a surgery that will cure it.
And that was what you knew.
Well, that was all I knew.
So when you met the naturopath and she started to give you some additional supplements and that, what then was the reaction to your body, and how was that then preparation for your last surgery?
Well, it started to build me back up to withstand, to get me into a better immune function and better adrenal function to withstand the surgery. But then in that, I realized there's a whole segment that I don't know about. And I think what's fantastic about what you're doing and what hopefully this health show will do is educate people that it's very real how important these herbal remedies and tinctures and nutrients are to our health, and how important it is to have choice in the supplements.
Kim Umphrey speaks about building resilient communities through local natural health retail and what it takes to keep those doors open in the face of overregulation.
You're managing teams, you have stress, you've got worrying about orders not coming. Like there's just so much dynamics to running a store that I personally, my adrenals couldn't handle it unless I gave them a little bit of love, and the love only can come from external, supplementation to keep them happy, so I can show up to work and, have energy to get out of bed and, have cognitive thinking. These are all things that, I need to keep at a premium level so that I can function really well and do my job. And so it makes it really easy for us to look at it and assimilate it and know it, and then be able to share that with public too, that, they did all this kind of research, and you go on their websites and check out the research that they've done to come to these conclusions, to put these products together for them, because they're passionate about health and wellness too. They want to reach as many people as they can too. And that's why they take such good care of us at the store level, to educate us and have relationships and, train the teams and make sure that we all understand, and it's fabulous relationship. And we're able to be passionate about the companies that, really are passionate with us.
Chantal Anne Dumont, naturopath and educator, discusses integrating clinical practices with health freedom principles to ensure Canadians maintain true choice and care.
Store that was like in between a pharmacy and a convenience store and had a little bit of everything. And I kept thinking, in Quebec, in my hometown, we often use different herbs to treat common day-to-day ailments. And I felt like, well, typhoid fever is a Dominican problem. They must have a Dominican herb to resolve that. And so I felt inspired to stop in that store. And I did get a book where they were offering different solutions, different herbal solutions to treat different parasites, including the one causing typhoid fever. So the remedy was naranja agrias, that would be like bitter oranges. And I just started making decoctions. They're basically like normal oranges, but they're harder and they're much more bitter. And I was making decoctions. I was supposed to just drink the liquid part, but I was literally eating the whole oranges, because I felt like either I'm going to get better, I'm going to improve, or I'm going to die, but I cannot stay like this. And then, I felt even more sick, but 3 days later, I stopped having fever. And diarrhea started calming down, and I felt better. It literally felt as if a cloud had been lifted up my head, because all the time, my brain was not even functioning properly. And it's like everything cleared up, and the fever went down, and I was like, oh, wow, something is happening. Something is working in these herbs. And so I went back to the gastroenterologist. Like when he saw me, he was already impressed. I was like, wow, what happened? And I explained to him. And instead of saying, wow, that's interesting, let's see what's in this.
Kathy Van Gogh tells her story of healing and creativity after chemical sensitivity, showing how natural products helped her restore both her art and her health.
That's a good thing, because it has given me enough time to actually pursue my passion in natural health. But before I was retired, I was a serial entrepreneur. I had many businesses over my lifetime, but the most substantial ones and the most recent ones were, I was a systems analyst and a computer programmer for about 12 years. And that was a really great way to make a living, especially right around Y2K. People were panicking. Oh. I made a lot of money doing that, programming people out of their fear. And then after that, I went into the paint and craft industry. I manufactured a paint line for refinishing furniture. And then I traveled all over the place teaching people how to create finishes to upscale old furniture and save it from the landfill.
Dean Camferman defends the vital role of independent health food stores, explaining how policy shifts threaten the very backbone of Canada's wellness culture.
Yeah, well, Sean, actually, I started out life as a farm boy.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents immigrated from Holland in 1950. I was born in 51 here in New Westminster, BC. So I've lived most of my life here. And so I had an amazingly strong, healthy body. Growing on a farm, you're eating from the garden, you're eating fresh meat, drinking fresh, unpasteurized milk right out of the tank. So I really, that stood me in good stead for many years. But then I moved into the city and, started to lose some of my good habits, found my health going down slowly. And in my early 40s at that time, I was working as an instructor for a local business college, and I was teaching what are called life skills. So we would get contracts from the federal government to retrain people on social assistance and get them back into the workplace. And my particular area was life skills, so time management, stress management, and that sort of thing. And it was a pretty heavy load. As you know, you're dealing with people and interacting, and it takes a lot of energy. And I just found my physical gas tank was just getting emptier and emptier, and I didn't know why. Probably to this date, I can't explain it fully. But yeah, I would be working 5 days and then having to just stay home for the weekend to have enough strength to go back to work on Monday. And, this just caused me a lot of concern. My wife was very good. She was her training was as a nurse, but she did a lot of research into natural health. And so she started to help me. I found a few things as well. I learned how to do deep breathing, and I found just that matter of deep breathing helped. I remember one morning I was just feeling oogie, and so I was practicing this new deep breathing technique, and suddenly click out of the...
Dean, a lot of people don't understand how involved, so our Canadian manufacturers of supplements really are involved with the stores, where the reps have a personal relationship with the stores. And I'm sorry, I'll wait till you're...
Yeah, so my son just popped in. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. So I'll just get back to, it's a lot of people, the public, they don't know how the manufacturers actually support the stores and how the stores then give feedback back. So the manufacturers, a lot of them have reps that routinely visit the store, so you know who they are.
Yeah.
And they actually share the most up-to-date information and what's happening with products, and they'll hold seminars for the stores and the whole thing. Can you kind of share with us that world so that people viewing can understand that our local stores are also being trained by the manufacturers, but they also then give feedback back to the manufacturers? It's kind of like this, everyone's helping each other to get us the best products possible.
Exactly. We depend a lot on our suppliers to have up-to-date information. And if they don't, then, we just don't buy from them. I expect them to know more than I on their particular area of information. Some of them are great. Some don't know a lot themselves, and then we'll educate them in some cases. But yeah, that back and forth traffic, and especially getting back to the rep and let your boss know that they really need to do this or this, and so. From that respect, there's that feedback loop that's constantly ongoing, and so we're very.
Julie Nelson offers an inspiring message about advocacy through personal healing, how one person's recovery can spark a national movement.
And of course, the first thing he recommended was 400 milligrams of magnesium bisglycinate or magnesium glycinate every evening before you go to bed. So he recommended a few other things, but they were more for overall health and boosting the immune system, things like that. So, but for targeting the restless leg, it was primarily the magnesium. And so I did take it, and probably, I would say I took it 2 nights, and then probably by the 3rd night, I took my magnesium and I lay down, and for the first time in a long time, probably 6 months, my legs weren't, I don't even want to think about would happen if we don't have. I'm burying my head on this one in the sand, Sean, but I don't even want to think about what would happen if we didn't have natural health products, even traditional Chinese medicine products, herbal tinctures. There's just so many stories out there about, and I'm sure you're hearing them all, about how they've helped people with their health issues. So yeah. It's not a pretty picture, let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. So,
and Janice Amiro closes the day with a message of faith-based recovery and renewal, showing how natural health remedies can restore not only health, but hope.
But that came later in life as a response to a health journey you had. And I'm wanting you to share that story, and then we'll talk about what it's been like to be a registered nutritionist.
Sure.
So so you're actually working as a teacher. You've got a full-time job as a teacher. You're 38 years old. Can you share with us what happened?
So sure, I was working full-time, and I was teaching cosmetology. That was my first profession. It was being a hairstylist. And so I was teaching cosmetology, and I noticed I was getting very, very tired near the end of the year. And I really thought it was the stress of the year, because teachers work hard and mentally it can be very draining. And so summer came, and I had this summertime off, and I basically did nothing.
And, the most obvious one that came to my mind is, historic, the British sailors with scurvy. Mm-hmm. Because they're sailing these long ocean journeys in these, sailing ships with no vitamin C, and they're getting scurvy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an illness. It was a symptom of not having enough vitamin C. I mean, you could call it an illness, but proper nutrition completely heals that. And I was interviewing somebody else today who was talking about, well, if you're getting a certain type of cramp that, where, compressed heat makes it go away, likely it's lack of magnesium, right? Like, and if people don't understand how important it is, can you talk about just the diet we have, the food we eat today? Because you've already made it clear, we shouldn't be eating processed foods. We should be, I call it real food. And my wife and I, we try to find restaurants that cook real food. They tend to be ethnic ones, we find now.
Yes.
Right? So can you just talk about the importance of real food, and then how we've kind of lost nutrition? Because you said to me in our pre-interview, a carrot may not be a carrot, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I think people need to understand this too.
Yeah. We have normalized junk food. We see it around us all the time. You deserve a break today. Bet you can't eat just one. All of those things, all those advertisements, we deserve all of this food. It's all around us. It's pushed in our kids and for ourselves. And what's happened over time is the food we're eating is not real. And if you go to the grocery store, I remember my mother saying, I must have been grade 8, so a long time ago, shop in the outside aisles, in the exterior of the store. That's where you're going to get the better selection. And it's very true still today, although they're putting the brownies right next to the apples now to get you to buy them. But real food, a lot of
8 speakers, 8 stories, 1 message. Healing, freedom, and truth belong to the people. Tomorrow, Sean and Teresa hit the road again, driving the world's greatest health van north to Barrie for another huge live event. It's also the launch of our inaugural French programming block, or maybe we should say our first French block. The Blue Highway broadcast will feature an opening statement from Pierre Martineau, dub remarks from Sean Buckley, and a full Quebec City event hosted by Marie-Lise Pelletier, highlighting passionate French-speaking Canadians fighting for health freedom in their own communities. Then on Friday, we continue our French programming with the Montreal event, featuring new voices, new stories, and the same unwavering call for freedom of choice dans la belle Provence. And then it all comes together. On Saturday, October 25th, the Health Charter Tour completes its journey after more than 7,000 kilometers, dozens of cities, and thousands of signatures. Sean, Teresa, and the entire NHPPA team will arrive in Ottawa, joined by supporters from across the country. At 10 a.m. Eastern, Sean will deliver a live opening message, followed by a press conference from the Parliament Hill Press Gallery, one of the most important moments in NHPPA history. Then at 1 p.m., we'll gather on Parliament Hill for the ceremony, the official handing of over 150,000 paper petitions to MP Blaine Calkins and other members of Parliament. This will be a moment to remember, a declaration that Canadians want their Charter of Health Freedom passed into law. Everyone will be there, Sean and Teresa, members of the Blue Highway, Eric, our incredible designer from Montreal, and maybe even a few special guests. And at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, the celebration continues at Bikers Church, live and in person, a night of gratitude, unity, and the spirit of freedom. If you can make it to Ottawa, be there. Health Canada and our government need to see that the people of Canada are watching, and we are not backing down. Bring your signs, your voices, your families, and your belief that freedom is worth the drive. And that's all for today's update from the Highway to Health. Keep watching, keep sharing, and keep signing those letters to your MPs. You can watch all broadcasts and find your nearest event at nhppa.org/live and nhppa.org/join-the-tour. I'm Jason Dahl, and this has been the Highway to Health, Day 18 of the Health Charter Tour. Together we are the voice for health, and we're almost there.